Hello and welcome to the People's Podcast. Today we are going to be discussing about the public finance management process. My name is Irene Kinoti from Pamoja Trust, and today is going to be an interesting discussion. We are moving from the busy streets of Nairobi all the way to Turkana County to hear different perspectives on the public finance management process, the budgeting process, and what it means to the people. Joining me are two champions. We have Okwaro and Bwana Raphael. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, then we're going to kick it off. Karibu, tuanze na wewe Okwaro.
Asante. My name is Geoffrey Okwaro. I'm actually the chairperson of Nairobi Budget Champion.
Karibu sana.
Okay, asante sana Irene. Kwa majina naitwa Kai Raphael, Budget Champion kutoka Turkana County.
And I'm going to start with, maybe we start with Raphael, being a pastoralist, and also what does the budget making process mean to you?
The budget, thank you very much. The budget process is of great help to Turkana County because one, the pastoralist views are being fetched in the budget. Secondly, we are also agro-pastoralists. Also, our views on agriculture are being fetched in Turkana County budget, not as before, but for now, it is also taken keen consideration into the budget. And the views of the pastoralists are taken into consideration because the county is for the pastoralists. Thank you very much.
And let's go to you, Okwaro, though I'm also interested in doing another follow-up question to Raphael. For you, Okwaro, being in the setup of Nairobi, and being a youth and also moving towards, I think, the other age bracket, what do you think the budget process means to you?
The budget process actually to me, it means all the processes that are involved, that at the end, we come up with the usage of the public funds in the manner that is supposed to be. And it takes into consideration the views of the people and also what the government intends to do to its people.
And I think that's a very good perspective and a very critical one. And as you say it makes me think about the question on to what extent do you think the youths have really internalized the importance of the public finance management process and actually started getting involved in it?
Internalization of the public finance processes by the youths is actually on a smaller scale because, as I understand, youths need civic education, and as the things are, very few youths are getting interested into getting involved into this process. But as the law stands, everybody is supposed to be involved into the processes of making the budget, because the budget involves everybody, the youth and the elderly.
And I think the finance bill discussions in the past year must have brought another kind of uprising amongst the youth on the discussion. So I'm going back to you, Raphael, and it's interesting thinking about how Turkana is vast. And let's say a sublocation like where you come from, give or take about 6,000 people live in that sublocation, right? If you do an estimate about how many people do you think are keen on the budget making process or the PFM process in general in Turkana County, and take the example of your sublocation?
Okay, that's a good question. First of all, I'll start from marginalization. Our sub-county was really marginalized. After the devolution is when some things came up. First, in the budget process, as from the village that I'm coming in, not even a third that know about the budget process. But the other awareness was brought from Pamoja Trust, when they were teaching people about the finance process, how to follow it up to the involvement. The government were not keen, even the county government, to involve them on the budget process. But the other stakeholders like Pamoja Trust came in. That's why there was a bit of education. That's why I'm saying it is not even a third, because Pamoja Trust reaches few And the few that it reaches, they reach also the few, and we are very many in the village. So to spread it out in about 3 years or 4 years that we have been with Pamoja Trust, it has brought a great flame. That's why we see the voices of the youth. That's why we see the voices of the women, and the voices also for the marginalized, those who are elderly, coming up to voice about their rights and their needs in the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just picking up from where you've left, I'm interested to know, what do you think the county government and even the national government at large can do to improve the people's experiences and the people's interaction with the PFM process?
Yeah, they should do a lot of things. One is they should not do these things in offices. They should not do these things in seminars.
Yeah.
They should put it as it is in the constitution that it should be public. So that process is missing. It could have reached so many. So the county government is taking some 10 people and give them money, and then those who come, they don't even pay the message. So if they want it to involve or to reach many, they should put it in public baraza, they should gazette it, they should use any different means to reach even the far people.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about your perspective, Okwaro, from the Nairobi case. Yeah. And one can say that people in Nairobi have adequate access to social media platforms in terms of reach. We have different, the administration offices are close by. I think I'm saying this in terms of access to the administration offices and the government service stations. I would say they are very close in Nairobi County. So I'm wondering the limitation of Nairobians participating in this process. What could be the leading factor, and what do you think the county government and the national government can do to enhance this?
Yeah, actually, in line with your question, the county government and even the national government have a lot to do, because the extent of public participation has not reached a place whereby we can say that we are satisfied. Because if you look at the laws, they want at least everybody to be involved. And if you see the manner in which things are happening when it comes to public participation or citizen involvement, what I can say is that it has not reached a point whereby we can say that at least nearly everybody is involved, because we've been forwarding our complaints as the citizens of this country concerning the public participation, the manner they advertise the forums, where they take the forums, and all those things that are supposed to take place there. They are supposed to at least to consider the public what they want, because sometimes we find that we wanted this the public participation to be devolved to the villages, where everybody can able to access the forums, because as you understand in Nairobi, moving at a place very far, it involves some fares, and you see most of our people, many will say they can't access the venues because they are very far away, and maybe others they have not put into consideration people living with disabilities and what have you. But I'm very thankful to the Nairobi City Council, because they have tried at least to improve some of the other things, but to some extent they need to do a lot. Also, when it comes to civic education, many people seem not to understand this process, because they take it as if does not belong to them, it is for others. People need to be enlightened concerning the budget process, so that everybody can have the interest of, once the public forum is called for, they at least go there and listen, put forth their views, and at least follow up and see what is happening. Also, some people are still living in the past, where they say that we air out our views, and they are not taking it into consideration. But now, with the organized groups and the education that has been provided by the civil societies and other organizations, at least many people have started buying the idea. But the way it stands, that much still want to be done, so that people at least feel that it is their processes. Because as you understand, the projects that are supposed to be done, they are the projects that are supposed to serve the people. The programs that are supposed to be done by the county government or the national government, they are supposed to be those ones that have been identified by the people, so that they can feel at least their money are used in a good way according to the laws that guide the Public Finance Management Act.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think it's also a period, we are in a certain period of time where it's no longer something that can be taken as a privilege, but even from the government itself, you can see that, in my opinion, I think that they feel the urgency to have the people involved in these processes, because also with the lack of involvement of the people, there is the misunderstanding. And with misunderstanding comes this certain type of chaos, like the one that we saw in the past year. So it's now forcing the government to explain to the people, this is how finances are allocated, this is how we got into this justification for allocations to these specific sectors, because there can be chaos that would erupt. And Raphael, I just want to go back to you and break down for us the budget making process in a layman's language, where we start from and then in where we end at, just in summary.
Yeah, in summary, I can break it into four phases. Well, the first phase is when the financial year ends. And before the financial year ends, the Treasury gives out an alert to all counties, Treasury, to bring out their budget to the Treasury. Then from there, the county again takes the first step to announce its budget process. One is to go to the village and bring back and collect the views of the people. Then after collecting, that's the first stage. The second stage, after collecting, they put it into different sectorial requests from the village. Then after putting it, they bring it back again to the people. That's the second step. Bringing it back to the people, then they accept it or they reject it. By rejecting, they say these were not the priorities, or these were the priorities. And if they are not the priorities, then they can replace it there without putting the money, the allocation. They bring it blank, then they put it. From there, they take it back to the parliament now, to the county parliament. Is when they will see and scrutinize and put for the money. That's the third stage. Then the third stage, the fourth stage, they bring it with the allocation of money for the people to see. And that's the final. Then they provide it like that as the county budget. Okay? Yeah. And all this process are put into two ways. They should tally with the county fiscal strategic paper and also with our annual development plan. The ADP is the first one. All the projects are there. If you go outside the ADP, that project must not be accepted by the county assembly because it was not the priority. Another thing we should know from the budget, it goes with the governor agenda. Yeah. So the first projects to be fetched and to be considered goes with the government, the national agenda, and also the county agenda, which means the governor's agenda and the president's agenda. So all of them go all of them together in the budget.
And I think you've mentioned that, and it has made me think about the politics around the budget making process. And the way people normally say that the budget making process is actually politicized, and that's a big challenge because you find that we have a lot of projects that stall, and I think it reminds me of the NMS saga. And I don't know whether Okwaro remember in the Nairobi context, when the NMS came into office, we had a lot of projects running through the NMS.
Yeah.
But then when the NMS ceased its term, the next financial year, we saw a lot of gaps in terms of completion of projects, especially in Nairobi.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you can remember that case scenario. And I think it also takes us back to the question of the extent of political interference.
Politics, generally today, is a very big role when it comes to the budget process. Yeah. Because as you understand, when it comes to the project identification, we also, the public will identify their projects, but remember also the elected leaders like the MCAs also have a right to identify their projects. When it comes to prioritization of the same projects, now it's whereby politics also plays a big role.
Yeah.
Also, the governor's agenda and the president's agenda also plays a big role when it comes to the budget. But all in all, also the law is also taken into consideration, because as you understand, the budget has got four stages. You have the formulation or planning stage, and then after that, we have the approval. It has to be approved by the county assembly, and then after that, we have the what we call as after approval, we go to implementation. Now it has to be implemented. Then after that, we have the audit process and evaluation. So all those stages, there are some laws or policies that must be taken into consideration. Also, as he talked about the documents, as you understand, every time a regime comes in, there is this document that's called the CIDP, County Development Plan. That one is a 5-year plan. That one must be put into place. So that one captures all the projects that the government intends to do in the period of 5 years.
Yeah.
Then it is out of the CIDP, it's when we prioritize a project to be done in a given year in a document called ADP. But before that, at the initial stages, as he mentioned, we have documents like county fiscal strategy paper. Now that one captures how the government is going to collect funds, the priorities, sectors, what we intend to do, all that.
The
ceilings, whatever. Before now, the sectors, they identify what the priorities they have before it goes into the assembly, the county assembly, and then the whole budget is passed. But now there are so many things that are taken into consideration, like the public participation aspect of it, as you mentioned. All the time, the law specifies when the documents are supposed to be taken into public participation forums. And it's from there the views of the public are supposed to be taken into consideration. And that one can only be done if the public do the follow-up. You attend the forums, and then after attending the forums, also follow up on the validation to find out these are the projects that we identify, these are the programs that we talked about, and this is what we want them to be done, and then we follow up. And also this one to be done also, is good also, politics plays a big role. There's a lot of lobbying, you have also to talk to your leader, but actually this is what we want. You can also be with us. Also in terms of policies, you talk to your leader, you lobby also for the leader to pass good policies that can bring about the development.
Irene, before finish, there is one thing that was interesting to the budget of Turkana this year. One is they went back to see the stalled project.
The stalled project.
Okay. And this project was brought by the memorandum. Actually, that was a very big effort from Pamoja Trust. We need to thank, because out of teaching people on how to write a memorandum and how to present memorandum. So we write to the county assembly that there's no need. I was concerned also. There's no need for us to put a new project. Instead, this year, we ask the county assembly, ask people of Turkana County to go and revive the stalled project.
The stalled projects.
There is no need. We cannot see a project being invested with a lot of money and get it started. So let's revive them this year only. Then next year we go with the new project. We moved that one after the county assembly. They tempted us to reject, but we went to the court. And the court gave a permission and order for the citizen to be heard. The governor made a press. And that was interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So when the governor made a press, he said, this year we're going to do the salt project. And now we have 5 salt projects that we completed. Morule Moscow is up. The 2 ECDs that we say, they're now constructed. And the fence of the irrigation scheme, which was started, is now constructed. Now we are echoing that, we are giving that as an echo to the county government for listening to the people.
Yeah, I think that's really applaudable. And I think I feel like doing this a small clap because that's really interesting. And I think that's a strong awakening for the county government, seeing the people of Turkana, for that matter,
since independence
getting into the forefront, saying that we need stalled projects completed. That's really nice.
I think maybe to add on that, that's the reasons why I talked of good policies and the laws.
Yeah.
For example, here in Nairobi, there is a policy and also the direction of the governor, directive from the governor and also the president. There is no need to come up with new projects when actually we have got so many stalled projects. So what is done right now is to implement those projects that we think they were stalled. Also, when you look at the county fiscal strategy papers and the ADPs, they are all directing us to do, you work on the projects that have been there, rather than starting new projects when others have been stalled.
Yeah.
Also, it's good also for the system to be involved into all the 4 stages that I mentioned. You remember, when it comes to the planning, the citizen must be involved. When it comes to the implementation, the citizen must be involved. Even during the approval, you need to understand what was approved, what is the money that is there in the budget, and when it comes to the audit stage, we are also supporting the system to do what we call as the social audit. We follow up to see the implemented projects and how they are being implemented.
All the government
And also for the last thing that made me very happy this financial year is that we saw every sub-county being given its own allocation.
That's nice.
And then from your allocation, you will allocate the projects that you want from your sub-location, from your ward. From the ward to the, from the smallest unit of the county.
The county.
Yeah. From that village unit to the ward
to
level.
the ward level.
Then you put the priorities.
Yeah.
Then you have your money at the table. You have been given 70 million to put to your project.
Yeah.
Then you put this one cost this one cost this one, up to 70 million.
Yeah.
That was a milestone.
Yeah. So that was not happening initially.
Yeah, initially since independence, this is the year.
Yeah. Then I think that's a little different from other counties because we have more allocations. Now, Raphael, I just want to go back to you.
Yeah.
And I want us to now speak this in a way that is going to be a reality to the youths in Turkana County. Yeah. If you're to speak to a youth in Turkana County who's 1, a pastoralist, 2, actually I wanted to say an agriculture person, that I don't think a big percentage of Turkana people are in the agricultural field. So if you are to talk to a young man in Turkana County and tell him why he needs to engage in the budget making process, using the realities of their day-to-day, how they do their day-to-day engagements from the time they wake up, the kind of things that they do, how would you tell him in a way that resonates with his reality?
Actually, there are forums. There are forums for the pastoralists. And these forums, they are divided into groups. Also, the Turkana young boy who is a pastor, he has to bring his own ideas, not ideas about how to make it, but what he needs.
What he needs. Yeah.
Because if you talk about process, he cannot understand.
Yeah.
But what you need from the county government, that the county government can do
to you.
An
example is what
one is supplying medicine for the health.
That is the health issue.
That is the health.
Another
one on education. There is this pastoral education with The county government has given some people a job to go with the donkeys to follow this person, to go and educate them in the evening in their own place. So it is an initiative that is from the pastors. Even if we are behind, the education can follow us anywhere. And also it has been initiated. Even this thing has gone so many stages. Even the NGOs are coming in. They're seeing it as a light to their pastors. You see? That's one. The medical facilities now has come to the reality of the pastors. Then before they used to have herbs and whatever. Then they follow them during the polio campaign, during what they reach. And these are the ideas that we are getting from the youth.
Yeah.
The youth who are pastoralists, who are talking with them in our own language. You see?
Yeah.
Because when our county fiscal strategic paper, we wanted to make it nowadays a Turkana paper. So that you can read at your own language. That's the fight we are fighting now. Because the county government has the resources. It can do it. All people who are working there at Turkana, they can change it into our own mother tongue.
Yeah.
You see? The Turkana, the young pastoralists nowadays, they are engaged in football. After a very big rest, after bringing their animals back, they go to football.
So that's already skipping into the issues of sports. Yeah, interventions related to
and
sports.
last month, they had sports of pastoralists, young pastoralists, all over the nomadic areas in Turkana, including Amara from Ethiopia, then the other people from Uganda, and the other people from Tanzania and Sudan, who had a sport.
Yeah.
Only for the locals, but not educated.
Yeah.
You see, they are bright. We leave some bright people behind. And some of them they are organizing now. That very big tournament is going to take place in Kakamega for the first week. The community language is really a factor also.
Yeah.
They said that we want their grazing lands to be protected.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones who are moving with animals.
Yeah.
And also they wanted to push into their wildlife.
So that already needs budget facilitation. So that
budget facilitation. As for now, the Turkana County government has started putting fences on their land in the wildlife. You see?
Yeah.
So they are also protecting the museums, like Namutuma where we were. It is now taken by the youth.
Yeah.
You see? But the pastoralists are benefiting, rather than the people who are living in town in Turkana. Yeah. Because we have mobile clinics following them. In terms of security, now the security law-wise, the government has started mobile allocating security to the water points. There's a bit of improvement done by the government. Nowadays, I see the government doesn't hear this group of town. It hears echoes completely to the machine.
Yeah. So I think that clearly shows the need for the youth to engage in the budget making process, because we have challenges where we're coming from, and we recognize that the solutions lie also in having resources allocated towards bringing interventions that respond to those challenges. And for you, Bwana Okwaro, Nairobi, we assume that Nairobi is good aside from the informal areas. And what would you say is the critical thing that should lead the youths to speaking about the budget making processes, and not just speaking, but actively engaging in it in terms of the needs, the main needs in Nairobi?
Yeah, actually, youths should be involved into these processes because, as we understand, youth comprises of the bigger population of Nairobians. And as you know, youths, as they are lagging behind, now it means that a lot of programs that are being implemented by the county government does not involve what the youths exactly need, because it seems that other people, the grown-up people, have decided for them. And as we understand, many youths are affected when it comes to other things like drug abuse, the issues of insecurity and what have you. But if they come out in large numbers and at least their voice is heard, they at least help the government at least to plan, to allocate funds to the projects and programs that can really help the youths at least to improve their lives. And also, as you understand, when it comes to matters of education, youths needs education. And if funds are allocated to programs, educative programs, other things, there will be availability of bursary and the other funds for the youth to access at least to further their education.
Yeah.
And also we have so many things like the sports and what have you that youths do involve in. And if they are supported, you can see the sports can play a very big role into improving the lives of the youths. So I call upon the youths not to stay at home. They just come out and take part into these processes so that at least their views are taken into consideration. It's youths who want the employment, who need to be employed. It's youths who will become the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's youths who are energetic at least to build this nation. If they are left behind into when it comes to decision making, now that means that the country will lag behind. So we call upon many youths to come out in numbers to get involved. This is not a complicated process. It is a process that when internalized by the youth, they can really help the government to run, because it's like right now we can see, if you look into the government offices, so many youths have been employed.
Yeah.
And I understand and I believe that if youths come out in numbers, at least their programs will be given at least a priority.
Yeah, and I think even in this entire discussion, it's not just about the youths, it's about our communities in general. Whether we live in Nairobi, we have issues to do with housing, we have issues to do with roads, we have issues to do with access to water. When it comes to Turkana County as communities, we have issues to do with, I think, services, the entire value chain of services, and issues to do with access to water and health. If we break down the services in bracket, I mean, it just brings us to the conclusion that every single person, as long as you're a Kenyan, as long as you live in Kenya, you should be interested in the PFM process, because it determines the issues to do with taxation, and it also determines access to services for you. And in just a sentence, each of us, just one sentence, what would you say to a person who says that the budget making process is just for people, the government people, watu wa serikali? What would you say to that person in a sentence?
To that person, I think I can say he's a blind person, because the budget process is not for the people of government. The budget process is for all of us, because if we are lacking water, the government people will not lack water alone. All of us lack water. Access to roads, we all need it. So for this process, for somebody to say it is owned for the government, is a lie. It's a lie.
I agree with you. And you, Kwaro?
Yeah, for me, what I can tell such people is that they must understand that we are the public. And as the public, Kenya does not lack laws that will make us speak out as the public. And the laws are very clear that when the government wants to spend the public funds, the public must be involved. So the law has to be followed, and people must come out and be proactive on matters that concern them, so that they decide as the law says, and it's out of that where development will come in the way that we want.
Before we conclude our podcast, we should remember about women and the right of children on budget process, because it's a critical stage for all of us. Thank you very much.
Yes. So the issue about gender mainstreaming in these budget processes is very critical as well.
It's very key.
I totally agree with that. So we've come to the end of our podcast. I really appreciate the presence of Raphael and Mr. Okwaro being here, giving us powerful insights about the budget process and how it relates to them within their different contexts, Nairobi to Turkana County. And now we get to the conclusion that budgeting is not just about the money, the shillings. It's a whole chain of how it affects our day-to-day lives to, our generations to come. So stay tuned, continue following us and watching our podcasts, and please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the podcast channel. Asanteni.
Asanteni.